as you know, the Canadian government has expressed its disconcern at the Sri Lankan government right now. But what do you think you can do as the third party, or right now the opposition as well, to pressure the government on a further stance to get the rights back to Tamils and get them from second-class citizen status to citizen status in Sri Lanka?
Well, that's the question. I mean, I think the government's approach is a little inconsistent because they came very late to the table to be concerned about the human rights situation in the country. And having come late to the table, and frankly for their own reasons, they're not being consistent because they're also saying, well, you know, whether the Tamil refugees can't come to Canada because we don't recognize their status as refugees. They're safe to go back. So they're kind of caught in a betwixt and between. For their own political reasons within the Tamil community, they want to continue to take the position that they're taking on the human rights situation, but they're not prepared to recognize what the real consequences are. There's not just discrimination. There's loss of life. There's people that are still in jail. There are political prisoners that are still there. And there are people who are not safe to practice their profession as journalists. There's all sorts of examples of where we see the human rights situation really deteriorating. So I think the government still needs to be far more consistent in its approach. And we'll be continuing to say that.
So what would you say is the Liberal plan in getting if you were in government, for example, to tackle these issues with the Sri Lankan government?
Well, I mean, first of all, we have to recognize that the Sri Lankan government has made a very calculated decision to ignore and, in fact, to be very critical of any comment or criticism from several countries. I mean, either individual MPs like myself are targeted, or governments in countries are targeted, just saying we don't care what you think. And more the government of Sri Lanka is getting its assistance from governments like the Chinese government, the Pakistani government, and others, which are not exactly, people who are going to protect human rights. They have their own reasons for wanting to exercise their influence. I think we need to work with other like-minded governments. I think particularly we need to work with the Indian government. I think the Indian government has long had a powerful relationship with Sri Lanka, and I think we need to work very closely with them, as with a number of other like-minded countries, in just saying that the human rights situation continues to be very, very problematic, and to continue to raise it in the Commonwealth, which is another venue where Sri Lanka has always had aspirations, where we go back to the Colombo Plan, which was the big development plan put forward in the 1950s by the Commonwealth, and just recognize that what's going on continues to be unacceptable.
I thank you for your time, Honourable Bob Rae.
Thank you very much. Appreciate talking.
Thank you very much.
Thanks very much, everybody. Take care.